In today's tutorial, we're covering one of the most powerful features in Photoshop, layer masks. If you've ever wanted to hide or reveal parts of an image without deleting anything, this is a tool you need. Let's dive in. What are layer masks? A layer mask lets you control which parts of a layer are visible. Here's a key phrase to help you understand how layers function. White reveals and black conceals. Here I have a graphic on the screen and I have a white layer mask right next to it. So it's controlling what parts of that layer is visible. The layer mask is white, so everything is visible on our layer. If I have a black layer mask, it hides every part of that layer and I see everything on the layer below. And one of the biggest reasons you use layer mask, it is non-destructive. Here I have this graphic and it has several things on it. Say for instance, I like this font and the lettering and it has the words Long Beach here. So I want to get this font and lettering off of this graphic and I want to show the words Long Beach on the photo below. So I'm going to add a layer mask down here in the layers panel. There's the add layer mask, click that, and by default it adds a white layer mask. So that is revealing everything. It's revealing all these components. Notice the white outline. I have the thumbnail itself selected with the graphic, and when I click over on my layer mask, that is selected. When you're working with a layer mask and you want to paint on it, make sure you see that white outline on the layer mask. Also, before you brush, make sure that your swatch over here has the right foreground color that you are intending to paint. Just to be sure, say if I change this to any other color, I would hit D on the keyboard. And if you hit X, you can see the foreground and background colors toggling. In this case, you want to paint black on my layer mask because I wanted to hide everything but the words Long Beach. We're going to do this two ways. We're going to start off with a white layer mask. So with the white layer mask selected, and I'm going to press B on the keyboard for my brush tool. I know my foreground color is black. I'm making my brush bigger with the left and right brackets, and I am painting just like this, and it is concealing what is on my thumbnail, the graphics, and I'm going to paint around here kind of loosely. And if I want to see what that layer mask looks like right now, with my layer mask selected, press Alt or Option and click. There is my layer mask. You can see up here I missed a little, and this is a way that you can double check your layer mask. Press Alt or Option and I'm back to my image. If I want to disable my layer mask altogether, press Shift and click, and that's what the original image looks like. Shift and click again, and I can use my blend modes to make the final touch here. I'll use lighten, and this is what I wanted. Now to reinforce this concept, I'm going to right click on my layer mask and say delete layer mask. Change my blend mode back to normal. And this time I'm going to go with a different layer mask color. I'm going to hold Alt or Option and click on my add layer mask icon, and now I have a black layer mask. And now to reveal the letters Long Beach only, so I want to paint now with white on my layer. So I'm going to hit X. Now white is my foreground color, and I can make this a little bit smaller, and you can see that I'm painting in right here, just in the area where I believed the letters were. So white is revealing what is on here. My layer mask looks different. That's just the area of the letters that I painted white over. And now if I come over here and change this to lighten, this is what I wanted. But just to see that you can use a layer mask color in different situations. And that's where you have to understand the purpose of your layer mask and what it is supposed to reveal or not reveal. And based on that, you paint with a certain color. White reveals, black conceals. So that's our first example. In this next example, I want to add contrast to the sky in this image. I don't want to add it to the landscape below. We can do this easily with a type of layer called a curves adjustment layer. You can add a curves adjustment layer in the adjustments panel, or you can come down here to the layers panel and click here and add it curves adjustment right here. I'm going to increase the highlights and decrease the shadows and play with the midtones a little bit. And here's what it looks like. I'm going to toggle the visibility off. And we have contrast in our sky but we have contrast in the whole image and we don't want that. So with our adjustment layer, we can use the layer mask it supplied for us. We only want parts of this adjustment to be visible. So by default, you get a white layer mask, so everything is going to be visible on your canvas. Now we can hide this adjustment completely by making the layer mask black. So click on the layer mask and hit Command or Control I so it is only visible where we want it on our image. So now with the mask selected, you see that it has a white box around it. Paint with white onto the sky area only. So we can see in our color swatch, our foreground color is white. With our brush tool, we're just going to paint in the sky area. And you could see it's darkening up here, adding contrast to it. And if you look over at the layer mask, you can see where I'm painting white on it. And we're just concerned with the sky. So Alt or Option and click on the layer mask. There's the layer mask itself. Disabling the layer mask, you see the bottom of the image changing. It gets dark. So now the adjustment does not affect the foreground area of the image. And I can keep adding other layer masks or adjustments. I can add a brightness right here. Say I want to add a brightness contrast. I'm going to make it a little bit brighter. If I hold Alt or Option and click and bring this layer mask up to the layer below, it says replace layer mask. I'll say yes. So now I'm using that same layer mask for a brightness adjustment. So I click on the properties and you can see I'm brightening the sky, but not the foreground. Now I could have made a selection of the sky, but again, I'm reinforcing the concept of a layer mask, which you can hide and reveal depending on what color the layer mask is and the color that you paint, whether it be white or black. So this is the same idea with other adjustment layers you use in Photoshop. In this example, we're going to create a text effect. We have a background layer and a text layer. We're going to mask out part of the text to make it look like it is behind the object. With the subject layer selected, I'll hit Select Subject in the contextual taskbar. Then I'll select the text layer. Since I have an active selection, as soon as I go down to the Add Layer Mask icon and hit that, I now have a layer mask based on the subject layer. Right now the mask of the car is white and the rest of the layer is black. We want the opposite of that. So we need to invert the layer mask. To do that, select the layer mask and hit Command or Control I, or with the layer mask still selected, use the Properties panel and click on the Invert button. Now the mask is the opposite. Black on the inside and white on the outside. Next, click on the link between the text and the mask. This will break the link between them. Now you can enable the text. You see it has a white box around it. And hit V for the move tool and move the text where it looks best. And so I'll move it somewhere around here. And here's our text effect. We used the mask from selecting a subject, applied it to a text layer, and unlinked the text layer and the mask. Move the text layer so it made sense to us. And now we can add back in the link. So that is our text effect. In this example, we're going to select the subject and cut them out of the background and use our layer mask to bring back part of that background and then add an additional layer behind the person. In this case, some balloons here. And we're going to use this contextual taskbar a little bit more. So I'm going to select subject down on the contextual taskbar. I have selected my subject and now I'm going to add my layer mask. And now I want to bring back some of that background. So if I shift and click, you see that she's sitting on a bench area. I want to bring some of the bench area back and parts of the background just to make it look a lot better so that she's not sitting in thin air. So in order to do that, if you look down here in the contextual taskbar, if you click on the thumbnail itself, it gives you options. And when you click on the mask itself, it gives you options to work with the mask. So if I want to add to the mask, I click that. First on the toolbar, you see it selects the brush tool and it sets up your swatch for a white foreground color. And that's what we want. We want to reveal or add to the mask. So now with my brush tool, I will brush in these areas and you can see that the background is coming back in where I want the bench to come in. This icon right here, if I click on that, black on white shows me the mask and I put it back on layers. That was the same as holding Alt or Option and clicking on the mask thumbnail. It's your mask itself and overlay. That is showing the areas that are transparent right now. And I'll go back to on layers. If I want to hide the mask altogether, I'll click there. Kind of gives me an idea where I need to keep painting all the way across here. I'll click that again. Maybe I want some of this area. Clicking that again, lets me kind of see where I want to paint. And back here, I can click X, drop my flow a little bit here and paint this out. And now I'm going to enable the balloon layer and I'm going to bring it below our subject layer and we will refine it a little bit here. Click on my mask again. I will add to the mask here. And since I'm getting close to that edge there, I'll subtract from the mask up here and paint this in a little bit. And this icon right here gives me access to the mask properties like density and feathering. Feathering will feather the edges of the mask. Density will control the opacity, and you can see the balloons a little bit less here. Depends on the effect that you want. So if you want to kind of have them see through more or stronger balloons, up to you. That is an example of selecting a subject and with its layer mask, bring back part of the layer. You saw me bring back part of the background, the bench area. And so layer mask can help you with your blending. And that's the power of layer mask. With just a little practice, you'll be able to blend images, create stunning composites, and make non-destructive edits like a pro. If this tutorial helped, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss any future Photoshop tips. Drop your questions in the comments below. And remember, it's never too late to learn. Thanks for watching.